Hi guys, it's Chef Hannah with the Change Plate Restaurant, and this is the first of our LiveMemorialWell Eat series. Our featured dish today is going to be a lentil bolognese over spaghetti served with roasted zucchini. So before we get started, I'd like to talk a little bit about our lentils. So for the recipe that we're doing, you're going to want to pre-cook your lentils. Lentils cook like any other dry bean, so you're going to have to sort through it, make sure there's not any rocks or anything down in there. Give them a good rinse, and then you can put them in water and start to cook them. Unlike other dry beans, you don't have to soak them overnight before we get started. So I went ahead and already done that. For a little bit of a reference though, this is 3/4 of a cup of lentils dry, and this is what 3/4 of a cup of lentils look like when they're cooked. So you can see they grow exponentially when you start to cook them. So it's a good way to bulk up some recipes, still get some good plant-based protein. And with this one, we're able to not use any ground beef or ground turkey in our pasta sauce, and the results at the end are still really nice. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I've got my pan over medium heat. I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil in there, just enough to keep things from sticking. And then I've got some garlic that's going to go in there. Getting some good sizzle right there, letting everything get nice and aromatic. I've got some diced onions here. We're going to put those in here as well. Get those cooking up really, really nice. So this is a really good recipe. We can serve a family of 4 for under $5. Our carrots and stuff, or our onions and our garlic have a good start. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit of carrots. A little less than we were before. We're going to let these get some good color on them. Get nice and tender. Start to caramelize. Good feel. As these are getting some good color on them, kind of see them. As we're going through here, you start to see a little bit of brown on your garlic, a little bit on your onions. Getting some good sizzle. Letting that go. We're going to put some tomato puree in here. Now the recipe that we have going with this calls for a tablespoon of tomato paste as well. You don't have to do tomato paste. It's a tablespoon worth, and there's no sense in opening a whole can for just a tablespoon of tomato paste. Just do it with a little more puree. If you just have tomato paste, use the tomato paste and just thin it down with a little bit of water, or maybe some vegetable stock or something like that if you want to keep it vegetarian. So yeah, we've got our tomato puree in here. Kind of got it spread around so that puree can kind of caramelize a little bit on the bottom as we're going. Start to cook the sugars, get a little more depth of flavor without having to add a bunch of stuff to it. As we're going through this, don't be afraid to substitute for things you have in-house, so you don't have to go to the store. If you don't have fresh garlic, you don't have to go to the store just for fresh garlic. If you have some tomato, or if you have garlic powder at the house, granulated garlic, you can totally use that instead. Even if you have garlic salt, you can add a little bit of garlic salt to it. I would use that instead of adding regular salt though, because if you start putting in a bunch of salt, then it can get really salty really fast, and then that's not so good because a lot of times we're trying to watch our salt intake. So we've got this going. It's bubbled up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add our cooked lentils as well. So we've got that going in right here. Stirring this around a little bit. Trying not to let it get too awful thick as we're going through. So I've reduced my temperature a little bit. That way we get a nice simmer and everything comes together without getting too crazy and out of control with it. At this point, we can add a little bit of salt. And we're going to add just a little bit of pepper too. Then we're going to use some Italian seasoning. So we're calling for about 2 teaspoons of garlic, or of Italian seasoning. So that's about 2 pinches. I like mine a little more seasoned, so 2.5. If you don't have Italian seasoning, you don't have to go to the store for Italian seasoning either. If you've got fresh herbs, if you've got herbs coming up in the garden or anything like that, you're more than welcome to use those. Fresh herbs are always nice. If you don't have fresh herbs and all you have are dry herbs and you don't have Italian seasoning blend, don't worry about it. You can use garlic. I'm really obsessed with garlic. You can use rosemary, you can use basil, you can use thyme, and just kind of mix it up and kind of make it your own. We're going to let this sauce go for a simmer now, let everything come together, make it really nice in here. So at this time, I know that we talked about having our roasted zucchini, so we can do roasted zucchini as well. I'm not going to show you because we've got some time constraints and stuff like that, but our roasted zucchini, all you got to do is cut off your ends, cut it down long ways, and then you can go through with your knife and cut little half moons through it. Throw it on a sheet tray, drizzle it with a little canola oil or olive oil, give it a little bit of salt and pepper, or you can do some Italian seasoning, or you can use a little bit of garlic on it as well. On your sheet tray, you can put it into a preheated oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes, and then everything will get nice and tender. You'll start to see some color on the edges, and that's all you got to do for your roasted zucchini. If you don't have zucchini and you have another vegetable, it's basically the exact same concept with any other vegetable that you're doing. You can do like broccoli florets. You can break down the florets, toss a little oil, salt and pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic, whatever you want to put on it. Sheet tray, right around 15 minutes. You can do that with all kinds of different vegetables. Pasta, we know how to cook pasta, right guys? So in hot water, we're going to put our, we're going to get it to a boil, add a little bit of salt, and just a little bit of oil to your water, throw your pasta in,